like there are many ways to actually get a job in open source. Sorry, to actually get a job in technology, and open source is one of them. But like open source is not only that; it's multiple stuff. But I mean, just for like a few, so that people can actually like stick around and stay for long. One of the way of getting open job in tech is actually open source, and it's probably like less more stressful compared to like the normal way. So so there is a um uh so I'm an intern at JIT, open source intern at JIT, and my other fellow here, the other speaker is also an intern at JIT. So currently doing some internship under JIT, and it's actually through open source also. So we just want to like share our experience of how we got in and wherever open source is and why you should actually like join, why you should actually like be interested in open source. So Uh, I have some couple of just some slide, not really like complicated or some fancy slide, but like maybe it's much. It has more information than many fancy slide that you might have seen. I don't know. So I will just share my screen. Yeah, exactly. So, can you guys see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? Is my screen blue? Is my screen visible?
Yes,
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 we can
please.
see it.
Yeah. Shayi, I'm
Yes,
going
we do.
first, right? Oh, I think should I, is there any need for introduction? I mean, I already introduced ourselves, so okay. So basically, introduction to open source. There is no what is open source exactly. So so the idea is there is corporation that Microsoft, Google. These are actually big guys that actually they work on software projects and they actually like okay, some people want to join. Yeah. Okay. So basically, there's Microsoft, there is Apple, there is a lot of big tech company. These are like private company. You can't. They just work on. You don't know what kind of software they are working on, or like you don't know the details of the softwares that they are working on. So these softwares are private to them. You can't see the code base of whatever is inside the code. So say something like we are using Teams, Microsoft Teams right now. So we basically don't know what are the codes inside Microsoft Teams. You just get the executive, like what you can just run on your computer. They just install it for you automatically. You don't know what goes into it. So that is basically like proprietary softwares or proprietary project. So you don't know how did they make it. It might not be a software, it might be hardware, it might be anything, even up to like in something like health related or any field, it might be publication. So you don't know what goes in, how did they make it, what is inside it or something like that. And you cannot also like make changes, or because you don't know what goes into it, so there's no how to like make changes to it. So basically open source is just uh opposite of that, where you can actually where like some group of developers around the world, they just come together, they work on projects, and they they make the code and everything visible to the world. You can actually see it, you can make modification, you can also contribute to it, you can also like join them in making contributions. It's so another thing that which I want to like point out is that open source. There's also someone here. So another very important thing which I also want to point out is that open source is not only about programming, it's not only about engineering, it's not only about coding. So whether you are in like for the particular internship which I'm currently like taking right now, so there are like a lot of people that are just doing writing on health information, and there are some people that are doing UI UX. There is one person that is doing UI UX. There is another person that is doing other things. Even I've worked on a project that is basically like, though it's a programming project, but like the project is basically for like some health company, not really like say some software company. So it's just some someone is also here again. I think there should be a way to allow anyone to just get in if they want to get in. So that's just like, it's, you can see everything, you can see wherever goes into the, how do they make something, if it is hardware, how do they couple, what are the content of the hardware, like what are the parts in the hardware, say oh, I need to I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to. So basically that is open source. Like, like if it is a software project, the code is visible to anybody. You can contribute to it, you can make changes, you can also distribute it, you can also sell it. Though sometimes there are some licensing parts that is like some licensing stuff, but like that is not mainly our own problem. That is more deeper than now. But like, what you just have to understand about open source is that just like when some group of people they come together, they make software projects, they make it for free for people to use. You can also like you can see the code, you can make changes to the code, you can also contribute to the code. So that is basically what open source is. It, and also very importantly, it's not about only softwares. It can be hardware, it can be health related stuff, it can be publications, it can be anything. But like mostly, it's actually like mainly like software and hardware. But like it's not only restricted to that. So uh maybe I should just talk about like okay, there is okay. So the question is, why open source? Why should you be concerned about open source? Why should I be concerned about open source? What is the what is the use case for open source? Like, why do I care exactly? Like, that's one of the question. When someone tells me something, I always like, why should I care about what you are saying? I don't know. If you tell me something, you have to like tell me, like, I think every human being is selfish or something. I don't know if that is correct or not, but like everyone wants to know like what is my gain, or sometimes it might be emotional gain, it might be anything kind of gain or something. But like, so that is why I have this part, like, why open source. So So one of the first question about why open source is like, to improve your skills and learn new one. So basically, because you are allowed to actually like, contribute to all these open source projects, right? So when you go there to you say, okay, I want to contribute. So either you're learning a new skills to be able to contribute to the project, or you are improving whatever skills that you have learned. So currently in my own project, I'm working on JIT, like we are using C programming. So I've learned C programming normal, but like, when you work with this kind of like when you work in a real life project, like, and you see like the way the way they build their logic or everything, the way they build the software, you kind of you are improving in your skills. So it's, you are either like, improving your skills. And I think there was a time when I was working on one open source project. So as at that time, I didn't really know Docker or something like that. So because I want to contribute to the project, and the project is about Docker stuff, so I have to like learn about Docker. So when you come into open source project, you are learning new skills, and you also improve whatever skills you are learning. You know before. So there's also another thing. Work on important project that is used. Pardon my English. That is used. So like okay, that you use actually. That's what I'm saying. So this part is that like, because open source projects, these are like most of the projects that you have probably used before. Maybe you have used Python in your, in your programming project. You have probably used Git. You have used Superbase. If you're a web developer, you must have used something like React. If you have used PyTorch or something like NumPy, if you're a data science or anybody or anything, like if you're Nginx or something, even if you are not a programmer or something, you must have used Android phone, or maybe if you have used Android phone. So Android phone, the operating system behind that Android phone is actually Linux, which is also like open source project. So all these projects with open source, you can actually like contribute to them. So you can contribute to what you use. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but for me, it makes sense to me if I'm able to like contribute to like say something like Python. Python is very popular, like, it's I think it's fancy, like, it's to contribute to whatever I use. So that's one of the That's one of the points of open. That's one of the things that you should. That's one of the reasons why you should get into open source. I think one very important one is this number three is that get mentored by the best engineer from any company and any country. So this is very important. So like these the people that are working on open source, these guys are like the best engineer from anywhere in the world that you can ever think of. They're like from Apple, they are from Microsoft, they are from I don't know, like name any company. So like I've actually like met engineers from Google, from Microsoft, from Apple, from Red Hat, from Qualcomm. I don't know, like just mention any company. And the idea is you don't only meet these people, they actually mentor you. Like they mentor you. They're always like, very available to mentor you. I've met the guy who created Python. His name is Gulliver Awesome. He works in Microsoft. He's I think a distinguished engineer at Microsoft. The guy actually reviewed one of my PR. So I've met with some people that you might not know, like Leonard's Poetry on System D. He mentored me, and he's also like a senior software engineer at Microsoft. Microsoft. My current mentor at JIT is also from JIT Lab. So I think Shei mentors, they're also from JIT Lab. These are like best engineers in the world. Like I don't know, like the best engineer in the world. So you get you get mentored by them. So you can't like these are like the echelons of software engineers. Like they're like the software engineers. I don't know, like I don't know which kind of software engineers you have seen before, but like these are like the echelons of software engineers. Like you see someone like Linus Torvald, you see someone like Guido Varosom, you see someone like Leonard Poetry, you see like brilliant very people. So why get what like just get mentored by these people for free? Like they're always there, and they're actually more friendly than you might think. So one other thing is improve your resume, profile, and portfolio. So like because you are working on very interesting projects, your code is outside there, like everyone can see your code. It's easy, like you can use it to, like, if you have for your resume, you want to apply for a job or something like that, or you can also use it to like improve your profile or portfolio. Imagine telling someone that you have worked on Python or something like that with evidence, because there is always evidence when you contribute to open source. The code is outside there. You can always like, you can always like show people that I've worked on this project. So so maybe in the company that you want to work in, they are using JIT. So for me, I will just tell them I work on JIT, or JIT is one of the required skills or something. Yeah, maybe JIT is also is one of the required skills. Imagine I work on JIT. I don't know how that sounds, but like if I don't need to be proving to you that I know JIT, because I actually work. Even if I don't know JIT, maybe I don't. Of course, I don't know all part of JIT command, but like I know some few. But like I don't need to be telling you that. I don't need to show you. I just show you my code which I contribute to JIT. So that's one of the interesting thing about about working on open source. You also get a job or internship. Like there are a lot of multiple people that have actually get a job through open source. I mean, I and Sheyi, we're also doing our internship, and it's all through open source. So there are a lot of people. These are like some organizations that actually like give you internship to work. Give you open source internship. GSOC. I and Sheyi are currently working on open source through Outreach. There is MLH, there is LFS, there is GSOC, there is Google. Some of Bitcoin. There are a lot of them. There are actually a lot of them like that. So you get internship, you get job, and most of them are always remote. So I work remote, and and I make, I don't know, it's not that big money to some people, like, but I mean, if you have a chance, just go do some research and check how much these guys pay for their internship. And if you are smart, I've seen people that have actually gotten like multiple like GSOC outreach. If you get money from outreach, you get from GSOC, you get from LFS, at least you are rich. I mean, it might not be big money, but still, it's enough. Like it's enough. I think I wrote it somewhere that it's probably more than some people's 1 year in salary or something like that. So I think make money. We have already said, like, many people, you can actually build your career, build your. I mean, my mentor is working at GitLab, and his main job is actually to work on Git, which is an open source project. So that is his career. That is what they are paying him for at GitLab. Even say someone like Guido Varosom, who is working at Microsoft, is just employed to work on open source project, is Python. Someone like Linus Torvald is being paid millions of dollars to actually work on to work on Linux, which he created. Leonard Poetry also, like a lot of people, like there are a lot of people that are actually like just employed to work on open source projects. Open source projects used by used by all these companies. So I think this one is travel around the world through conferences. I've not traveled around the world through open source conference, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. Like it's all step by step. So like because there are a lot of all these open source projects, most of them they organize event every year across the year. So they kind of you can apply and go to different conferences. I think there's this guy after outreach, like the guy just got into tech. I think he said within 6 months. And after 6 months, trust me, he got into outreach, he got money. Then from outreach, through some opportunity, so all open source. So he went to like some conferences in many countries like that. So if you want to probably travel around the world, maybe you can also like go through open source. It might not be easy like that, but it's definitely possible. Someone was able to just start tech in 6 months and actually get into outreach, then from outreach and travel around the world. I also know like there's also one person's name which I also had it here, who actually also got open source who is actually traveling the road and all. It's all through open source. There's also like which one point which I want to say, sense of community and networking. So because in open source it's like a community, like community of people, like maybe I mean I don't know, this might not be important to many people, but like when you have like sense of community, like these are like people like they have your interest, and sometimes it's like family. It's like family, like uh, you are working with people. The other is you don't, and you can actually like networking. You can meet. I don't know, like I don't like the best engineers in the world. The best. I'm saying the best. It's not like some. I don't know who you look up to in engineering or something. I don't know, but like I don't. I'm very sure that. I mean, if even maybe those people are actually working in open source. So because most of the time, most of these guys, most of these big tech, big guys, big gurus, they actually work on open source. So the best engineers in the world, not only even in engineering, it might be. I've seen like I've met many people like professors. There was this open source project I was working on health. These are like professors from MRI. I think it was around MRI imaging and stuff like that. So it's not only in software engineering, like best people from anywhere in the world. So these are the people that work on. And I think another thing is this is very important to me. I don't know if it is important to you, but it's also like an avenue to also flex on other people, or it's also ownership and pride. I couple everything together. Like we are the owner of JIT, we work on JIT together. Like it's sense of ownership. Something like that. You also flex on people. You flex on your I don't know. You flex on other developers. I think those are very important to me. It might not be important to other people, but like it's give you the avenue to flex on people. Imagine someone telling you they learn Python. I would probably just tell them, oh, maybe some documentation that you read for that you actually check for for learning Python is what I wrote or something like that. So it's interesting. Maybe recognition also. You can also use it to get some recognition. You get the point. So there's also career building and many more. There's also career building. You can use it to build your career and stuff like that. So then one thing which I want to say to people, that because I've actually seen many people like they are being scared of open source. It's open source is just I know I think I develop one English right now that which I used to say to people is that everything is just illusion. Open source is illusion. It's for everybody. Like whatever you think about it is whatever it's going to be like for you. Like anyone can actually do open source. You don't need to like know all the JavaScript or the C programming in the world. It's for everybody. It's for beginner. When I said my first open source contribution was changing some grammar or something like that. My second one was even I don't know how I probably later understand what I did, but like as at that time I don't really know. I was actually learning C++ at that time, and it was like I was beginner in C++. So it was just most of the time open source, especially as because the people that are working on this project are like the experts. So when you come in, you are coming in no matter how experts you are, wherever you think you're expert in, you are coming in as a beginner because these guys making this open source project are like the best. they are the best engineers in the world. They are, I don't know, like, so whether you are coming as an expert, that you think you are an expert, you're actually coming in as a beginner. So don't if you're a beginner in anything, what the most important thing about open source is communication. Your communication, how do you communicate with the maintainers? Also like very important, your consistency. Like, is it consistency, or like your, what is the English? I don't understand. I don't know a lot of English. Like, coming back again when you fail or something, like just showing up, showing a hand. Maybe showing up is a good. So it's for beginner. When I started, many people, if you have actually like check online or anywhere, many people that probably started with open source, they actually started as a beginner. So don't say because you're a beginner you're not starting. The problem is, if you don't start, nothing is going to happen. You can't, if you think that when you become expert, that is when you're going to join, even your expertism is still or beginnerism or something. Like, no matter how expert you are, when you come to open source, you are coming to meet the whole gist of programmers. So you're also like a beginner. So it's better to join now and learn along the line. So I will pause now for Mr. Sheyi to actually, like, continue from where I stop. I have some tips, maybe for Mr. Sheyi to come, and Mr. Sheyi is an intern at GitLab, GitHub. I don't know, GitLab, GitHub. You can say any of the three. So, Mr. Sheyi, I hope you are still there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Usman. Thank you for the introduction and everything that you've given us in this meeting, in this webinar. Really appreciate it. So yeah, I'll just be walking you guys through how to get started. So what are the important dates you should keep in mind? How do you make your first pull request? How do you do all these things, right? But before I do that, I just want to get a feel of what everyone's background is like currently, like, so we can properly measure, you know, how to place you, on the right track. Right. So I'll just start with, I think the first name on this call is Ali. So I'm just gonna ask you just a brief background, 30 seconds, whatever you can mention. Ali, are you there? Okay, maybe Ali's not by his computer or something. So I think I'll just move on to the next person, which is Brobas. Brobas, do you want to give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, my name is Tajuddin Abubasit. I'm an agriculture engineering student and I'm a beginner in data science.
All right, that's interesting.
Right.
Ibrahim, next person. Do you want to go?
Good evening, sir. My name is Majid Boyim. I'm a
Okay.
student in Lautech, 200 level, studying computer engineering. Can you hear me?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, thank you,
But
Majid. So Ibrahim Ismaila, you want to go? Ibrahim? Okay, I guess I'll go to the next person, which is Mio. I apologize if I don't pronounce this correctly, but Mio Nova. Mio Nova. Hi, Mio Nova. Okay, then I'll go to the next person, which is Sadiq. Hi, Sadiq. Okay, then I go to the next person, which is Yusuf. Yusuf, do you want to tell us what you're currently doing now with regards to tech or anything like that?
Yeah, good evening. I'm a backend web developer specializing in Python and I'm using Django as a framework.
Right. So, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Unfortunately, some people were not able to talk, but it's fine. So yeah, open source is practically for everyone. I mean, I can see we're currently skewed towards the tech, focus people, the data engineering, computer science students and stuff like that. But actually it is for everyone. Yeah. It spans across a whole range of discipline, a whole range of skill sets, a whole range of projects, right? And if, just to be honest, without open source, I don't think we would be where we are today in terms of advancements in technology. And there's always this thing that people say that there's power in diversity, and that is just what open source tries to harness, right? It tries to harness that diversity, that power in diversity. And yeah, like I said, I don't think we would be here today if it wasn't for open source. So there are many proprietary softwares and services that were born out of open source, right? So they started from open source, where people just came together, engineers came together over the across the world, right? Came together, worked together, and built something, right? So from there, the value of that grew, and from there, people started using them, modifying it, purchasing license and then modifying it to create proprietary software. And some examples I can give is Apache Kafka, if you're into data engineering. Many, right? So many, they were born of open source, right? And then now you have even cloud services and different services and organizations that are using this software. Git is one of them, which is what I currently intern for, and Usman. Right, so currently interns for Git, which is a version control system, as you all know, if you know it, right? So it is quite, and it's quite important, right? It's quite important in the software world, right? And you can see Git has been, there are many paid services that have integrated Git into their workflows, right, into their systems, right? So there are many services that work with Git. And so that's the whole idea behind open source, is to bring people together, right, of various background, let them share ideas, let them work together, right? And then the goal is to better the technological space, better mankind, right? Make things easier for people to do, right? And that's it. So right now, just having said that background, I'm just gonna go straight into how do you get started, right? So I'm primarily going to focus on Outreachy, which is the program I got in with, right? So that'll be my primary focus, right? But then the other most of the other platforms, they're quite similar what they do, right? They work on similar projects, they do similar things. So whatever knowledge you gain from Outreachy, or whatever knowledge you get on how to get started with Outreachy, you can apply to other open source platforms, agency in a way. So with Outreach has two very important dates, right? Two very important periods. They have the winter period and then the summer period, right? So for the winter period, which is the one I got in with Usman, that you start the processing of from early August, right? So the process usually start at early August, and that's when the application starts, right? And then you do a month, you do an application, and then it closes after a month. Yeah. Oh, I believe so. The details you get most of the details on the Outreach website, right? But you do an initial application phase where you talk about yourself, you talk about again, just to mention Outreach is just to mention the background on Outreach is it focused on underrepresented groups, right? Underrepresented groups. And I'm sure sometimes it might be quite conflicting on how you handle this sort of situation, right? Especially if you are not really from an underrepresented group, let's say, for example, because Outreach sort of focus on gender, those people that are discriminated on their gender, on their sexuality, and some other stuff, right? But, for other people who do not fall under this category, right, how do you handle this, right? So for me, when I do my application phase, my primary focus was on my religion, right? So I'm Muslim, alhamdulillah. But yeah, my primary focus was on Islam, right? How Muslims are underrepresented in the tech space, which is sort of true, which is very true, not sort of true, which is very true, because the tech space is not really a Muslim dominated space, right? And this was what I spoke about during my application phase, during Outreachy, and this was what got me in, right? Well, as well as my other skills, right? So yeah, so this is very important. So you want to be when you in your initial application phase, you want to be as genuine as possible, right? You want to say things that are true, right? You don't want to make up stuff. You don't want to go to ChatGPT to cook up a story, right, they'll definitely flag that off. Right, so you want to be as genuine as possible. You want to look deep into yourself and then think how you can represent, how you can properly tell your story and properly sell your story, right? So this is very important. So after the initial application phase, if you are successful, the next thing is you then go to a contribution phase, right? So in this contribution phase, this is where you, before you get into open source, you sort of, before you get the money in open source, you sort of first show that, right, you are willing to do, because it's free and open source, so you're willing to do work for free, right? So that's what you do. And during the contribution phase, you pick a couple of projects, ideally two at most, right? One, but it's always good to have a backup plan or a backup project. So the pick the number of projects that do come every internship period is different, right? So it might be 10, it might be 15, depending on whatever sponsors that outreach you get, right? So but then you can have some recurring organizations like Debian, like Git, like some other organizations that do come in and they keep coming into outreach. So then you pick this project, right? You pick one of these projects. Sometimes it's not many times it's not always what you can do in that contribution phase. It's not how well you can show your skill, right? But rather it's more of how consistent can you be, right? Even if you're making very little changes, how much consistency do you have? Like, how do you show up, right? How do you communicate constantly with, the people in the community? How do you express yourself? Right? So it's rather not, because I've seen people where they just, once they've picked a project, they've initially spoken to their to the community people there, right, or potential mentors or something. The next thing they do is they go dark, right, for weeks, right, and then they just come in and then they pop in with a huge contribution, right. So actually tries to frown on this because they want to see your consistency in communication, in what you're doing. They want to see how you go from how you progress. So also that this is just something you should try and avoid, right? Whenever the outreach application opens up and you want to apply, or some other application, you can also apply the same strategy to the other open source platforms, right? So you want to make sure, even if it's small changes, even if it's documentation, even whatever changes that you make sure you are consistent with it, right? You make you make a full stop change today, tomorrow you're making a different change, and you're communicating with the mentors, you're making them know, right? So you want to keep communication open, right, and constant. So then after the contribution phase, well, that's when you get after a month after the contribution phase, that's when you get a notification that you're successful, whatever it is, right? And then you start the um the internship. So this is just like a quick overview of the process of outreaching, right? I'm not very familiar with, I'm quite familiar with the process in MLH too a little bit, because I applied a lot of times to, and yes, and this would lead me to my next discussion, because I applied a lot of time to MLH. I didn't get in. That's Major League Hacking, right? I didn't get in. So it's also very important that you stay consistent, right? So because sometimes you might try first time, second time, first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, and not getting, right? This is life, right? So it just depends on how much you are willing to how not giving up, basically, right? So how much more are you willing to try, right? So the first time I did MLH, I tried it, I didn't get in. I did MLH, I applied to MLH twice and I didn't get in. So that was quite discouraging to me at the time into open source, because I was trying to get into open source and then I'm not able to do so. Right. So I just didn't contribute much to open source since that time, right? Until I decided to give Outreach a shot, right? A different application, give it a shot. So this is very important. Consistency, right? You might do it the first time and not get picked, right? You might do it the second time and not get picked. You might do it the third time and not get picked. I know a couple of people, right, that are current interns now, that they tried first, second, this is their third, fourth attempt, and they got in, right? So sometimes it's always like that. And again, because of funding and everything, the number of interns that these organizations can select can pick, they've become very few, right? They've become fewer than the previous years, right? So, and this is the reality of today, right? But yeah, just to make sure that you keep showing up, keep doing, even if you don't explicitly make money directly from open source, like as an intern in like Outreach or Google, some of code or some of this, you can sell that experience that you make, right, from your open source contributions, right? You can sell the experience, right? You can sell the experience on a job application. You can sell the experience in an interview that you've contributed to Git. You did this and it was merged. You did that and it was this and this and this. This will tell you if you know how to sell yourself. In fact, I don't even think you need to be an intern to do that, right? Or to be an official employee of open source, right? Again, the name is it's called open source, free and open source. So the goal is that we should always have it at the back of our mind that whatever we're doing, we're trying to contribute to make humanity better, right? We're trying to make humanity better. We're trying to make things easier for people to be able to do, right? So we should always have that giving back to community sort of mindset, right? Even if we take away the money for now, but open source can be very, very rewarding if you stay consistent. It can be very, very rewarding, right? It can change your life, right? And yeah, it can change your life. And it can make you very rich. It can make you rich, not very rich, but it can make you rich. So, so this is just the breakdown of Outreach process. I'm pretty sure Google's process is not so different. MLH2, the application you write about yourself, you write about your experience, why you should be picked and stuff like that. So you want to be genuine about that as well. You want to be genuine about, I never got past that phase, so that's why I just stopped. So you want to be genuine about that. Tell them your experience, what you can do, how you can contribute greatly to open source. Be genuine, don't lie, don't make stories up. So this would really help. And then make sure be creative when you're creating this, doing the application, right? So I think that would be that for how to get started. You know the dates. The next actually internship date would be mid-January. I think January 15 or thereabouts, not confirmed. But yeah, it should be mid-January. So you should keep an eye out on the website, the Outreach website. I think Usman can share it on here, as well as the Google Summer of Code website. So you can also keep an eye out on these things and see when the application would begin. And also you can also follow their social media handles. So whenever maybe even put it on notifications. So whenever an application, something is happening, then you get notified. Yeah, on top of your game. So I think that would be that for me. I'll give this back to Usman to probably just round up. And yeah, good luck, guys.
Thank you very much for for everything. It's really, really, really. Even me, I'm learning new stuff now. I need to up my game now, so that I can get rich in this. Yeah, I think this Linus Torvald is. I think from what I saw, maybe it's actually making like I think the Linux Foundation is paying him maybe about $1 million per year to work on Linux. So some people some people their job is actually like just to work on open source. So and one important thing that she said is sometimes it's not really about the money. Sometimes it's about the experience. If you check my resume, most of what you probably see in my resume is open source stuff. So I use it to build my resume, and it's also like about like building relationship or something like that. So if you're able to build good relationship with all these guys from this, because they are from big tech company, you can always see a way to get referral to like any company. And sometimes it's also something that you should just enjoy sometimes actually. So just maybe you should just try to like develop yourself and enjoy the process. I actually like I actually for like some sorry, maybe 2 to 3 minutes, I want to share like some pinpoint or like some tips. Like most of them have been shared, but like just to retreat upon them, because yeah, I definitely understand that. See, it's not easy. Like all these things, the way we just say it, many of us, Shea and I, maybe, and some other people that are in open source, maybe they went through like some, sleepless nights. Sometimes maybe there is no light or something like that, depending on your current location or something like so. But it's not the only way to get a job. this is not the only way to get a job. This is not the only way to to be to be successful in tech. But I think even just being a tech person, or it's a way to actually like it's something that you should do. Like it's open source is something that everyone should probably like. It's like we have NGO in the real world where people contribute back to their community. So it's also a way to give back to to your community. So like she mentioned about some some you mentioned about outreach, GSOC, MLH. These are like some organizations that can actually like pay you to like work on open source projects. These are like to get your career started or something. Like from there you can meet a lot of people, and you can also probably like search how much they pay, how much they actually pays. They pay some good money, like I mean maybe to get a new Mac, or and get some decks to can I don't know, like some good money actually. Like so if you are targeting those organizations, I have some points which is very very important. The first one is start early. Like if start early, join organization early. So if you are going to do GSOC, if you are going to do outreach, if they select for outreach, if they select you for the second stage, these are the things that you have to learn more. You can ask him some questions. I will link some some resources that you can actually go through. But like if we are going to join GSOC, MLH, anything, like always join early, like as early as possible. I always join like immediately they announce anything, I join that the same day, and communicate with the mentor the same day. Like I'm the first person that the mentor knows, so it's like putting your face. And one important thing which you should keep in mind, the mentor will be the one to select you, whether you are doing GSOC, whether you are doing outreach, whether you are doing anything. Apart from MLH, which is not really true mentor, but like something like GSOC, outreach, and many others, LFX, these are the mentor will be the one to select you. So you have to like communicate with them every day. Like you have to be like friends. I used to ask my mentor how did they sleep well, how are they doing fine or something like that. I used to do that. So like I kind of develop a kind of friendship. These are the things that I learned along the line. It's not in my first time when I mean from what she said, this is my third time in outreach. I even tried MLH like twice, I didn't get in. I tried GSOC once, I didn't get in. But like but these are the things I learned along the line. Communicate with them like friends, like family. Not like you should be cocky or something like that, but like you have to be genuine actually also. But I mean you can also train yourself to be genuine, like to communicate with them like family and friends. Like these are like some little things. Then you have to work hard seriously and show interest than others, because sometimes it's like competition. This is not really open source. This is like the internship part of the open source, not the open source idea. In open source, you don't need to compete with anybody. It's all about collaboration. But if you want to get selected for something like outreach or GSOC, there may be some little of competition. So how do you get pass ahead of the competition? You have to work hard. Seriously, you have to work hard. You have to have maybe the highest numbers of commits. These are the things that you have to show up. Sometimes it's not even having the highest numbers of community. It's actually showing up. Try to help others also. So when you join, when you join early, you already know what the community wants, like maybe how to build a project. So when a new person joins, you are the one guiding them. You are giving them info. These are the kind of things I did. I actually got selected for 2 projects. And from what she said, if you are doing any of this organization, GSOC outreach or something, always try to like look for 2 projects for backup sake. But for me, luckily for me, I got selected for these 2 projects, which I contributed to. But the idea is, while I was selecting projects, I already dropped some projects, which I see that it might be waste of time. Like I wrote that choose less competitive project. So the idea of less competitive organization, when you join some organization during these things, you kind of see that like there are a lot of people there. So you don't want to be competing with a lot of people. You believe that. But sometimes joining less competitive organization might means going for other stuff. Normally, I can write Python, I can write JavaScript, but I don't go for JavaScript or Python organization. I'm not saying you should not go for it. You get the point, but you can always go for it. But for me, just to reduce the competition, I go for something like more harder, like C++, because I know there are lesser people that are doing that. So that's one of my own winning strategy. But for you, if you are doing JavaScript or Python, look for like organization that maybe sometimes there are like some new organization, there are less competition there, so you can always look like that. Write an interesting proposal. I will give you some links to learn about proposal or something like that. So there are sometimes you have to submit proposal. So one thing, things can get sucks. Do not give up. Sometimes you might work hard and you get fucked. So that is just like seriously. My last application, my last outreach, we were working at both of there was some other guy we were working so hard we contributed. It was like 2 months working hard, like bro, all what I didn't even I didn't get selected. Like, and what I did to get selected now is even like very less than what I did then that I did. And see that even though I worked so hard, I didn't get selected. Apply for two organizations, something like that. I always try to like don't stay on one. Life, these are the things that we learn along the line, that when we stay on one we get fucked. So we try and optimize, so try to like apply for two organization. And so, but like apart from all these, understand that open source, like it's an interesting stuff. Most of the things that we just say now, like this, there is not really a lot of time. Open source is something that maybe sometimes it's something that I learn like for days, for maybe for months. So, but this is just like an introduction, and I want you to like, no matter if you are doing data science, the idea is for me now. My own learning strategy is, if I want to learn DevOps, if I want to learn something like say Docker, I'm going to join the open source that created Docker to learn Docker. Then I'll try to contribute there or something. That's my own learning strategy. So if you are doing data science, if you are doing anything, if you are doing DevOps, if you are doing DevOps, all these Kubernetes, they're all open source. If you are doing web development, React is also open source. Try to see like what are the organization around those different stuff. Join them, try to learn. It's not going to be easy, seriously. But the problem is you have to get started. If you don't get started, it won't work. And the other is just do what, but like this is very interesting. Like this is it's like, see, it's like on mind. That though there are a lot of people that actually know about this, but like it's still like kind of on mind. Say compared to something like Fiverr or something like Upwork. For me, I don't have the energy, the strength, or to be competing on Fiverr or Upwork. Like these are like on mind stuff. It has not been mined yet. Like there are not a lot of people like that compared to other field. It's like on mind them or something. The other is they don't ask for your, if you have some BTech or something. They don't care about your education. They don't care about if you attend some boot camp or something. They don't care about all these things. They just want to see whatever you learn. They don't ask for your resume. Or for me, I hate writing resume. So those are things that actually push me to something like this. So they don't ask for your resume. They just want to see your interest, your passion, or something like that. And if you if you keep going, maybe there are a lot of people that are traveling around the world just through open source, just and stuff like that. And just to conclude, these are like some things which I want to share. Just try to look for this guy on YouTube to learn more, because this is not going to be enough. So these are like my own, like these are the guys I learned open source from, like from their videos. Not really, they didn't. I mean, like these are the people I learned from. So just search for Kunal Kushwa. Try to like watch everything about what he said about open source. Search for Akira Singh. They all talk about open source. All these different organizations, like they have like everything there. So, and these are like some organizations that give internship for open source, for for software engineering, for data science, for ML, deep learning, anything, DevOps, writing. Even Outreach gave like a lot of writing, like 6 projects was on writing. UI UX Outreach gave some project on some internship on writing and UI UX. So just look for them, search for them, learn more. This is just the beginning. Don't This is not the end. This is not the full information. You get the point. But like this is like a kind of notch that it's I don't know. It's see me, I want to share. I don't know. Like, it's cool, seriously, but maybe we won't understand now. But like just try to like stick around. The other is getting started. So your own getting started might just be like just going to, and we didn't mention about some places where you can see different open source projects. Like they're like, if you want to see any open source project, just go to GitHub. GitHub is the most popular place. There is on GitLab, there is Gerrit, there is Fabricator. There are a lot of them, but GitHub is probably like the simple one that you can start with. So maybe your own starting, how to start, maybe your own New Year resolution can be like to start. This work is coming maybe 5 February, but like many people already like started contributing to GSOC by now to get into GSOC in February. So you get the point. So uh all those things. So okay, GSOC is outreach is also maybe outreach application will also be out by January, February. Just look on their websites. but it's actually around January and February. MLH is always around that time also. LFX also is probably like January. So just look around January, February starts. These two guys have actually done a lot of videos on these topics. More. Go through their stuff, look it, scrutinize it. They didn't. They also talk about a lot of other things apart from open source. They talk about remote job, DSA. If you want to like get into big tech company and stuff like that. So I think we are done for today, because if we keep going, we just stay here, and many people had very important place to go. So I don't know, like that is just everything, and just get started. Just if you need any help, but you have to do research. It's not easy, but sometimes it can be fun, it can be interesting, it can be but like it's not easy. You don't think it's easy, but like if there is, you have to get started. If you don't get started, it's not gonna work. But and whether you just start, there is nothing like beginner or something. You can't be expert in open source, because like as I said earlier, there are a lot of gurus. These are like this they are the people that write the programming language that you want to be expert in. You can't be expert than them. So just join and learn from them directly. So I think that is all. That is all which I can say. I think I can also send a link to like one. There is this Ubuntu group. They used to do some meeting about open source, but it's more through like writing aspect of open source. But if you're interested, I will try to look for their link where you can. They always do meeting every Friday. So that is just everything I have to say. I mean, we have to stop here now. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's any question. If there's any question, you can ask now. Or Shay, you want to say something? Uh,
No, I was just gonna ask for questions in case anyone has one.
okay. Acha. If there's any question, I don't know why people are shy or something, but that's why I try to make it as friendly as possible. Like, is there any question? I go, why are people so shy? Why are people so shy? Why are people so shy? Yeah, I think if there is no question, just hit me up. Just drop me a message on. If maybe you later you sleep, you will later wake up tomorrow morning and you had some questions, so you can hit me up or something. But like if you are into software engineering, especially software engineering, computer science, all this anything that relate with tech, I think you should check into open source, because in your resume also it also looks good, because this guy, the person that is going to probably interview you is also like open source software. He's also doing open source, so it's like friend meeting friend in interview. It's you get higher chance than any other person. So I think that's all. Uh, she is there anything?
There's nothing from me. There's nothing from me. So I think we can just call it now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shay, for I think this is your sleeping time. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I think we should just end at this point. Yeah, see you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining, and see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, brother Osman. Thank you, my friend.